Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hope you guys are all doing well. Welcome to Reganelite's Viewpoint, episode 138 of this series where we normally cover UK news. We are going to be covering UK news specifically, but obviously we're going to be talking a bit about what's happening, in the Middle East as well. We're going to watch Keir Starmer's statement in the Commons. I'm not going to watch the full thing, but we are going to listen to his statement. And I think it's really, really important we do so because I don't agree with the Green Party's assessment on Keir Starmer's approach, in my view. But we will get into that shortly. We do have a couple of other stories if we get a chance to get into as well, such as most senior council officers in England say building work has been hit by delays. That's a piece from The Guardian there. One that was on Saturday, haven't really had a chance to have a look at. But a minister resigns after a row over a reprehensible material gathered on journalists. And that's going to be an interesting one to look at as well. Apparently, this cost of living crisis, we're still struggling to get by, guys. But don't worry, MPs are set to get a pay rise. That's a story from the BBC. And then finally, we will end with a piece from Sky News calling "Back My Asylum Overhaul or Risk Trump-Inspired ICE-style raids," warns the Home Secretary. And I'll also be looking at one or two clips as well in this series, in this show here today. I do have, I've got the two funny videos, haven't I, ready? Yes, I've got two funny videos ready as well, which we'll come into as well. Let me just say hello to people who are in the chat. Jal, one of my moderators, good evening to you. Hope you are doing well, guys. Make sure you check out Jal's YouTube channel if you can. Rosemary, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Billy Cushel, good evening to you. Mel, good evening to you. Hope you're doing well. Good evening, Scott Hayes there. And anybody else lurking in the chat. Apologies, guys. I know I haven't been attending the two Davies shows at all today. I've literally done, how many videos have I done today? At least more than 20 today. So it's taken a. It has taken a bit of a beating on my voice. Excuse me. Not gonna lie. And I just want to remind people as well tonight that there will be no Good Morning show tomorrow, but there will be a Good Evening show, which will be at 7 o'clock in the evening. So instead of there being a show at the Good Morning show that you're used to getting tomorrow at 11 o'clock, there'll be one in the evening instead. I won't be able to do it. I just didn't have enough time to record. I wanted to record some videos for you guys for tomorrow, or some main videos, but I just haven't had time, guys. I wanted to get at least Patreon and Rumble content out for the week, which has been done. So for those who watch on Rumble and Patreon, you guys will get that content this week. I know I've been neglecting those platforms, so I wanted to get them out for you guys. So they are done there. So Stephen Banker, good to see you there as well. And Mr. E, good to see you there as well. Hope you are doing well. Right, let's get started, guys, because obviously this first piece we're going to be going through is going to be a long-winded old one. But I'm not going to we're not just going to listen. Like I said, we're not going to play the whole thing, but I do want to listen to Keir Starmer's speech with you guys because I do think it's very significant, the statement that he gave in the House of Commons here. I already watched the full thing. I listened to pretty much up to about when he got to Jeremy Corbyn's question, and then that was it there. And I thought Keir Starmer, I think Keir Starmer has handled this situation as best as he possibly could. And I think criticism of him in this current situation, considering what action he's taking, it's kind of like, well, what alternatives was he supposed to do? Anyways, I'm going to play this and I'll chime in as we go along, guys.
The wider region and our response. Mr. Speaker, the United Kingdom was not involved in the initial strikes on Iran by the US and Israel. That decision was deliberate. We believe that the best way forward for the region and for the world is a negotiated settlement in which Iran agrees to give up any aspirations to develop a nuclear weapon and ceases its destabilising activity across the region. That has been the long-standing position of successive British governments. President Trump has expressed his disagreement with our decision not to get involved in the initial strikes. But it is my duty to judge what is in Britain's national interest. That is what I've done, and I stand by it.
I like that he's kind of like, he's taking a bit of a stand here. Now, I know some people will say, will still call him out because he has allowed US bases, UK bases to be used for certain strikes there. And he will come to that response in a bit. But the distinction here that he's making is, look, we're not getting involved in this war. But some people will argue that we are already in this war. But but what he says makes a lot of sense to me here.
But, Mr. Speaker, it is clear that Iran's outrageous response has become a threat to our people, our interests, and our allies, and it cannot be ignored. Iran has lashed out across the region. They've launched hundreds of missiles and thousands of drones at countries which did not attack them, including the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Iraq, Bahrain, and Oman. And overnight, Hezbollah, Iran's proxy in Lebanon, launched attacks on Israel, seeking to escalate the war.
It has been confirmed, in case people didn't know, Hezbollah are the ones who struck the base in Cyprus with a drone attack. It was Hezbollah who did that attack, not Iran, apparently, according to recent reports.
Mr. Speaker, there are an estimated 300,000 British citizens in the regions, residents, families on holiday, and those in transit. Iran has hit airports and hotels where British citizens are staying. It is deeply concerning for the whole House and the whole country. And, Mr. Speaker, our armed forces are also being put at risk by Iran's actions. On Saturday, Iran hit a military base in Bahrain with missiles and drones. There were 300 British personnel on the base, some within a few hundred yards of the strike. Last night, a drone hit RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus. There were no casualties in this strike. Mr. Speaker, it is important for me to say that our bases in Cyprus are not being used by US bombers. The security of our friends and partners in Cyprus is of critical importance. And, Mr. Speaker, I want to be clear. The strike on RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus was not in response to any decision that we have taken. In our assessment, the drone was launched prior to our announcement. Iran's aggression towards Britain and our interests is long-standing.
But as I said, the confirmation is that the drone strike on the Cyprus base was by Hezbollah in Lebanon, and not by Iran there, just for reference. Yellow is never a good look unless it is a parade or circus system banker. Yeah, I have to agree with you with that colour there. A yellow dress there. I don't think it's a good colour there. Right now, the US is building up the case against the presence of bases in Europe. Oh, I'm going to share a clip of Donald Trump in a bit as well. Jal says Portugal is not supporting this, but the Americans are using our base in Lagos. We told them if they use them for it, there will be consequences. So did other European countries. Yeah, I think Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has probably been the strongest condemning this out of all the European leaders, I think, more than anyone there.
And that's why we've always ensured that protection for British bases and personnel are at their highest level. Mr. Speaker, it is very clear that the death of the Supreme Leader will not stop Iran from launching these strikes.
Well, exactly. I mean, like, you killed their leader. Like, do you honestly think, oh, wow, that's it. I guess we get to go home. No, that's not how it works, guys. That's not how it works. This ain't Venezuela. You know, it's not like you're negotiating, you're negotiating with the same, there's a massive family here. Like, it's not like, oh, it's fine now. We can negotiate. No. As far as I'm aware, unless something has changed and someone can tell me in the chat, as far as I'm aware, Iran's not interested in a ceasefire right now, as far as I'm aware.
In fact, their approach is becoming even more reckless and more dangerous to civilians.
Yeah, it might have something to do, I don't know, with the attacks that the US and Israel have done. Just saying. And a lot of Western media I've seen initially this morning and over the weekend was was that they were trying to spin this in a way that Iran provoked this when it was Israel that kind of struck first, and that context really does matter.
They are working ruthlessly and deliberately through a plan to strike not only military targets, but also economic targets in the region, with no regard for civilian casualties. That is the situation we face today, and to which we must respond. Mr. Speaker, I've been speaking to our Gulf partners over the weekend. They're outraged by Iran's acts, particularly as they played no part in any strikes, and they've asked us to do more to defend them. Moreover, it is my duty, the highest duty of my office, to protect British lives.
This is where I agree with the Prime Minister in comparison to the Greens Party's positions on being involved in this illegal war. Because while technically you can say that Britain are involved in this legal war, what the Prime Minister just said there is something that, regardless of your political party, regardless of your beliefs or policy, the duty of the Prime Minister is to protect its people. And in this instance, in this situation, he's absolutely right to do what he does here.
That is why we put British jets in the air, Typhoons and F-35s, as part of coordinated defensive operations, which have already successfully intercepted Iranian strikes, including, Mr. Speaker, taking out one drone that was heading towards a coalition base in Iraq, housing UK service personnel.
And I'm sure, guys, you would have agreed that we would not have wanted that drone to hit a strike and taking out British soldiers, let alone any civilians for that matter there.
I want to pay tribute to our brilliant servicemen and women, putting themselves in harm's way to keep others safe. And I know the whole House will join me in expressing our gratitude and our respect. But, Mr. Speaker, it is simply not possible to shoot down every Iranian missile and every drone after they've been launched. The only way to stop the threat is to destroy the missiles at source, in their storage depots or at the launchers. The US requested permission to use British bases for that specific and limited defensive purpose, because they have the capabilities to do so.
So, I didn't watch the full thing, like I said, but I didn't see an MP ask this question of whether or not Britain could target these so-called missiles or these targets that the Prime Minister just invoked. I don't know if British forces could have targeted them instead of US. No one actually asked that question. Could the UK do it without the US here? But he's implying that it's only the US can penetrate. That's what he's implying. But nobody actually in the... this was something that was on the back of my mind when I was watching this and listening to questions. Was anyone going to directly ask that question? And I know he wouldn't have given a straight answer anyway. But I was curious. I have been curious about that. Because some arguments from the Conservatives are trying to justify that from legal perspective, the international law perspective, is that we should strike Iran because they're a threat to UK citizens and UK areas, for reference there. But I generally, good evening, person impersonator there. But I generally want you guys questions as we're going along here. Do you agree with the Prime Minister with what he's doing, or do you disagree with the Prime Minister here? I might even put a poll up here. I think that might be a worthwhile asking, guys. Can I do a poll here? I'm not sure how to do a. Can I do a poll from here? Let me just see. Let me come out of this, guys, because I do want your guys in. I do want your input on this here. I'm gonna say, do you agree? My spelling is terrible. Sorry, guys. God, I'm so terrible with spelling. God, I'm absolutely crap with this. Right, so the poll I'm going to put up with you guys is: do you agree with Keir Starmer's statement on what's do you agree with Nah, that doesn't really make sense. I was going to say, do you agree with Keir Starmer's statement on what's happening in the Middle East? That doesn't really make sense. How do I frame this? How can I frame this correctly, guys? Do you agree with the Prime Minister's statement on what the UK is doing in the Middle East? Yeah. I think that'd be a better question. That's a better question. Do you agree with Keir Starmer's statement on what the UK is doing in the Middle East? Let's do that instead. Let's do that instead while we continue to listen. I think that will be a much better question there.
Yesterday evening, we took the decision to accept that new request in order to prevent Iran firing missiles across the region, killing innocent civilians, putting British lives at risk, and hitting countries that have not been involved. To be clear, the use of British bases is limited to the agreed defensive purposes. We are not joining the US and Israeli offensive strikes.
And I agree with this. And I agree with this because we don't want to get involved. We don't want another Iraq. We don't want to be involved in this conflict. Now, are we being does it feel like that the UK are being dragged into this? Yes, it does. But the main reason why the UK feels like it's being dragged into this, and I can understand people feeling that way, is because history tells us that. But one of the big problems is that people need to understand is that we have not just UK citizens out there in the Middle East, right? But we got UK bases. We have UK bases. We have UK soldiers, British soldiers out there. And obviously, as a prime minister, he has to think about all of them as well, not just obviously, not just citizens out there. So you have to think from that perspective as well. Are we really past being able to resolve things peacefully as a species? Are we really past the point of no return? I don't think we're past it as a species. I think the problem is that we just have so much. If I'm honest, Stephen Banker, I think it's just, I generally believe this. There is so much disinformation and misinformation out there. People just go with anything. You know, life is really crap for a lot of people right now. And a lot of people just turn their problems and whatnot into anger and hatred at people who have no bare responsibility in people's lives. And some people just want to see the world burn. You know, some people just generally want to see the world burn, if I'm absolutely honest. I don't think it's. I just think it's like there's a few, in terms of the human race, the few who have the money and the power to influence the species are doing that right now. But the overall majority of the human race is not like that. The US is also trying to drag Europe into this, and surprised it is not working. Are they that naive? The Empire retreated, but never disappoints us, Mr. E.
The basis for our decision is the collective self-defence of long-standing friends and allies and protecting British lives. It is in accordance with international law, and we've produced a summary of our legal advice, which clearly sets this out. We will keep the decision under review. Mr. Speaker, we are not joining the strikes, but we will continue our defensive actions in the region. France and Germany are also prepared to enable US action to destroy Iran's capability to fire missiles and drones from source.
Now, I don't know if this has changed, but I've heard that Germany may be taking part in the conflict. I don't know if it's been confirmed yet, but I have heard, I have read one or two places that they are considering it. I did see today that Qatar's officially joined the war. I don't know about any other nations in the Arab states, but if anyone wants to confirm in the chat, please feel free to do so.
I've been in close contact with President Macron and Chancellor Merz in recent days, as well as President Trump and leaders across the region to that end. Mr. Speaker, be in no doubt, the regime in Iran is utterly abhorrent. In January, they murdered thousands of their own people, the full horror of which is still hidden from the world. For decades, they have sought to destabilise the region and export terror around the world. Their proxies in Yemen have targeted British ships in the Red Sea. They facilitated Russia's attacks in Ukraine. The regime's tentacles have even reached these shores, posing a direct threat to Iranian dissidents and to the Jewish community. Over the last year alone, Iran has backed more than 20 potentially lethal attacks on UK soil, each of which, Mr. Speaker, we have foiled. So it's clear the Iranian regime must never be allowed to get their hands on nuclear weapons. That remains the primary aim of the United Kingdom and our allies, including the US, and ultimately this will have to be achieved at the negotiating table. Mr. Speaker, in this dangerous moment, our first thoughts are with our citizens in the region, friends, family members and constituents. I recognise the deep concern that the situation is causing for those involved and for communities across the country. We're asking all British citizens in the region to register their presence so we can provide the best possible support, and to monitor the Home Office travel advice, which is being regularly updated.
Obviously that bit I'm not really, obviously they'll take telling British citizens, obviously, of course, to take whatever things necessary. Now, I want to go straight to Keir Starmer's response to Kemi Badenoch. I'm not going to put you guys through Kemi Badenoch because I thought she was like some of her speech was pretty distasteful, if I'm honest here. But I thought Keir Starmer's response to her was very, very good here. The reason why I'm going through this, guys, this is important because in this situation here, it really is a knife edge here, and I really mean this. Like, I think Keir Starmer is handling this as best as he possibly can in an impossible situation here, because you have on one hand, you don't want to upset Donald Trump and the Trump administration because you don't want to upset the orange tangerine, right? So you're trying not to there. On the other hand, you don't want to go into a full-blown war with Iran because, of course, the public are very much do not want that. We do not want. Obviously there won't be troops on the ground, but we don't want to take part in these airstrikes. We don't want any retaliatory strikes taking place on UK soil as a direct consequence of our involvement in this. We don't want to be involved in this in any way, shape or form. We just don't. The reason this is happening is because of the United States and Israel. Yeah, we don't want to be involved in this, and this is why but also at the same time as these two things, we also have a situation where we have UK citizens, UK soldiers, and UK bases, as well as one was under attack, as well as others in the region of the Middle East. And Keir Starmer has a responsibility to look after them, which is why he's taking the action that he's taking. And I say this to people who think Keir Starmer is wrong to take the action that he has taken. Give me an alternative. Give me an alternative that doesn't result in British citizens and British soldiers losing their lives right now in the Middle East, because you can't get them out of this situation right now because there's literally the skies are literally being lit up right now, and I think he's dealing with this in the best he possibly can in this situation. Like, I don't think any other prime minister is handling this situation right now as well as Keir Starmer is right now. Does this mean that that he gets things a lot right? No, I actually think he still should get the boot. But in this current situation right now with regards to what's happening in the Middle East, I think Keir Starmer is handling it really well. I really do. I know some people will disagree with me, and that's fine. But let me just go. I think we're almost... Right, there we go.
Mr. Speaker, she asked about contingency plans for UK nationals, and I can assure her in the House we're working at speed with our partners in the region to take whatever measures we can to make sure that our people can return as safely and as swiftly as possible, and we'll continue to do so. And I'm happy to update her and the House as we roll out those plans. Mr. Speaker, let me be very clear. There were two distinct and separate decisions over the weekend. The first decision was whether or not the United Kingdom should join the US-Israel offensive against Iran. We took the decision that we should not.
Yeah. Which is the right decision. In my opinion, was the right decision, and I agree with that decision.
Should not.
Absolutely right.
The second decision was a separate decision, and actually a separate request from the US, which was whether we should permit the use of bases for the distinct, specific, defensive purpose of collective self-defence of our allies and to protect British lives, which were put at risk by the actions of Iran on Saturday and Sunday. We took the decision that we should do so.
And again, I agree with this decision on the sole purpose of protecting British citizens who are in the Middle East, British soldiers and the British bases that are out there, as well as British soldiers who aren't in British bases in other parts there. Because by us not taking part in that, we're abandoning our own people, essentially. And that's just not right there. So, totally disagree, says Rosemary. There'll be strikes in Britain. So what's your solution? We leave our... So my question to you is, Rosemary, what do you do about our citizens out there? What do we do about us British soldiers out there? Do we abandon them then? Is that what we do? We abandon them and we don't protect them? Is that your solution? Because if you have a solution, please give it to me in the chat. Because like I said, I'm open to an alternative solution, yeah, that doesn't get us any more closer to this war. But if you can't give me an alternative way out of this, I don't see where the argument you have here. Honestly, like I'm open for suggestions, chat, yeah, on what an alternative is. Because you can't just say to me, we just take the soldiers and the civilians straight out of there straight away now, because we can't do that, because there's literally the skies are lit up on fire right now in the Middle East. So, and Keir Starmer would actually get even more hated for not protecting British citizens and British soldiers out there. Like, I mean this sincerely. Like, give me an alternative. Anyone who honestly, respectfully disagrees with me, give me an alternative to what the Prime Minister would do in this situation. On this, hands on heart, give me an alternative. I generally want an alternative. If you can't provide me with an alternative, then you don't have a leg to stand on with your argument. Because you have to give me an alternative to this situation. I'm not being disrespectful or anything, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with it. But my question to you is, what is the alternative?
I am clear in my mind that any UK action must always have a lawful basis. It must also always have a viable and thought-through plan.
Yes.
And it must be in our national interests.
Yes.
The Leader of the Opposition, I think, is saying she would have joined the initial strikes, whether they were lawful or not.
So Keir Starmer's making the argument that it would be questionable in terms of international law if we actually got involved in the strikes, which is why he is towing this line of why we shouldn't actually go in and with our own forces to strike out Iran. This is the argument that he's making. The Conservatives, Kemi Badenoch didn't say that in her speech. I want to make that clear. I don't know if I didn't hear Kemi Badenoch say that in her speech. Now, some people might argue that we should, because again, we're trying to protect. Because again, I'm looking at this from the perspective of protecting British citizens, British life, British soldiers, and whatnot. But also at the same time, as you guys know, like I don't just think about it from that point of view. I'm trying to think about minimizing the amount of losses that we can. What can we do in this situation, and with the limited resources and powers that we have in this current situation here? Stephen Moran says, what are you doing about your citizens out there, Reganelite? You're not doing anything to get them out. How are you defending them? So, Keir Starmer can't give a straight answer of how to get them out in this situation. Because right now, obviously, of course, as I said, their strikes are literally taking place as we speak over different parts of the Middle East. In Qatar, in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, where I would say most citizens are. Some are in Iraq, some in different parts of the Middle East, right? Obviously, I do recommend, if you haven't, watch this full thing in full, because Keir Starmer says that citizens who are there, they need to tell us that they are there, and then obviously they need to try and get them out. Try to get them out. Keir Starmer said that they pretty much said, yeah, the majority of questions that he got put here at the House of Commons, that they're going to try and do everything they can to get them out. But at the same time, of course, there's no point them flying a plane in or getting a boat or cruise or whatever, and it's just going to get shot down or shot down or be put at risk. Especially when right now it's too dangerous. Right now, you've got fighter jets in the air shooting down drones and missiles coming out of Iran right now. So, the best thing for them to do in this situation, for the majority, obviously everybody's situation is going to be different in the Middle East. My best recommendation is that if you can't get out right now, if you were traveling to the Dubai airport or whatever, and you can't fly out and whatnot, the best thing is to try and hunker down somewhere until things calm down. Don't think, because I don't see, like, you can't get out of this situation right now. So the solution is to hunker down if you're a citizen, because right now because right now I don't see a solution of how you can get them out right now in this situation. And that's just not British. That's French or any other nationals from the Europe or other places. How do you get them out of this situation? While the skies are on fire. I have to think. I'm trying to think about it from what's the best way we can minimize casualties in this situation. So from that perspective, again, like I generally believe Keir Starmer is going to do everything he can to try and get people out. I really do believe that. And by the way, he did state as well, there's not going to be any cost for any British citizen who are in the Middle East right now. He said they won't get charged for getting on. If they get a plane out there, right, ready to evacuate some people, like say for instance to get them out to the Abu Dhabi, right, and they get a plane out there, right, and British citizens, they will not be charged for that, by the way. That's coming out of taxpayer money just to get them home, get them safe, basically. He did state that in the Commons speech as well. So, and I want to make this clear, I'm not defending Keir Starmer. I'm not defending Keir Starmer because I think he's a great Prime Minister or a good man or anything. In this situation, I think he's doing the right thing. I really do. I know how people feel about him, and you know how I feel about him, but I don't want to bullshit you guys. I'm being straight with you guys about how I feel in this situation right now and how he's handling it. So, hard to get them out with airspace shut, says Mel. And you're absolutely right, Mel. You're absolutely right. And which is why I think, it's a very difficult situation for him. It's a very difficult situation for him.
I noticed she didn't say the Shadow Attorney General said they would have been lawful.
Stephen Baker says, I'm not digging at Starmer, but the government's track record for rescuing and saving foreign nationals is not good. I'm not disputing that at all, Stephen Baker. I'm not disputing that at all. No argument there whatsoever about that. Starmer should be condemning Trump and realigning with Europe. That I do agree with, but he won't do that. And the reason why he won't do that is because he doesn't want to upset the orange tangerine any more than he wants to. He should, but we all know what's going to happen if he upsets the orange tangerine. It means we're going to face consequences from that. I know people hate it, but I also understand why he's not doing it. I totally understand people. I totally understand why people would think he should condemn him. I totally get that point of view. But I also understand Keir Starmer's perspective as well. And the Afghanistan people who helped Britain were abandoned. Absolutely, Rosemary. What happened on that day? But I shoulder a lot more of that blame on Joe Biden than I shoulder more of that chaos on. I don't blame the Conservatives as much as I blame Joe Biden and the Americans for the way it was handled more than anything, if I'm honest there. I'm not gonna even if I despise the Conservatives during that time, I'm not gonna throw them under a bus for what happened there, because that was more on Joe Biden more than anything there, and it was like a very there wasn't a lot of time for a lot of time as well. So I'm not gonna throw the Conservatives under a bus on that instance, but I can understand how people feel on that instance as well there. I've been hearing hate speech against the US I've never heard the Brits should not associate with them. I get that again, totally understand that position. I understand that people don't want to associate, but I'm seeing it from Keir Starmer's perspective here of protecting British lives, protecting British citizens, protecting British soldiers from that perspective. I don't like it any more than you guys do. I want to make that absolutely clear. I'm not in favour of any wars. You guys have known me for a long time how I feel about this. I really, really do. But I'm also thinking about the lives out there right now. I'm thinking about them in this as well.
Just that the law should be changed.
Yes.
And I think she said they would have joined the initial strikes without regard to whether they had a plan. She was very critical of us not joining sooner. Therefore, it's impossible to have that position without arguing that we should or we could have joined. I fundamentally disagree. Mr. Speaker, I will tell the House why. Where our military personnel take action, putting their lives at risk, it is our duty, my duty, to ensure they have a lawful basis. Yeah. On Saturday, we deployed UK pilots into the sky in the region, and they've been working there ever since. They deserve to know that their actions are lawful and there is a viable, thought-through plan. And I will not countenance committing our military personnel to action which doesn't have a lawful basis. That is not a fair thing to do to our serving personnel. And no UK Prime Minister has ever committed our personnel to action unless it's got a proper lawful basis.
So, in terms of the international law basis thing, I know some people will be. I know some people have, international laws kind of kaput thanks to Israel and the US here. I get that. I get that point of view here, but I do agree with what the actions that the Prime Minister is taking here, even if we disagree with it. Let me just have a quick look at the. Let me have a look at what you guys are saying in terms of the poll there. Do you agree with Keir Starmer's statement on what the UK is doing in the Middle East? So 77% of you disagree with what he's doing, and 23% of you agree with me. So many of you don't think the Prime Minister should be doing what he's doing right now there, which is fine. That's totally, I believe, democracy. So some of you guys don't agree with what the Prime Minister is doing there. So I understand it's not. It's a very difficult situation. There's no easy fixed solution. So I appreciate you guys being honest in the poll there. Thank you, Stephen Moore, for the 20 New Zealand dollars. Thank you for your support. So good being 12,000 miles away. Carry on, folks. Yes, thank you. It's good to see you there, Steve, first of all. And thank you so much for the very generous super chat. And yeah, stay safe. Stay safe as always, regardless of wherever you are in the world. I generally mean that. So thank you for that super chat. It's very, very much appreciated there. So let's have a little listen to Zach Polanski's response to all of this here.
Dragging the UK into another illegal war does not make us any more safe. And polling shows over and over again that the majority of people in this country do not want our UK bases to be used by US military. And the only reason why this is happening is Keir Starmer is incapable of standing up to Donald Trump.
And I think that is true. That is true. I'm not going to argue that point from Zach Polanski here.
It's really important that there's a vote in the House of Commons, and also we immediately withdraw permission for the US to use UK bases. We need to think about our own national security, keeping people in this country safe, and Keir Starmer being totally subservient to Donald Trump doesn't do that.
Now, I really like this point here that Zach Polanski is saying that we shouldn't allow the US to use our bases and that we shouldn't be integrated with them. Well, there's just again, I come back to this point of like, what do you like? So you want us to disconnect here? Like, I understand where Zach is coming from. I understand that perspective, and I understand where chat is coming from, where they feel that we shouldn't be allowing the US to do the strikes that they are doing to target these missiles and whatnot. But I'm thinking about this more from minimizing as many casualties as possible, and this is why I disagree with the Greens' perspective on this here. I do disagree with Zach Polanski on that there, and as we are, if you want to say we're in this war, you can do. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that, guys. I really don't want to say that, and I am torn. Okay, don't get me wrong. I am torn about all this because because I don't want us to be anywhere near this war any more than any of you guys in the chat. But at the same time, I also don't want us abandoning citizens out there, our soldiers out there. I couldn't really give two hoots about the bases, but more about personnel and lives more than anything, if I'm personally honest, guys. I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about them more than anything, and I generally hope that the decision to allow the US to use the UK bases that he's given them permission to are actually targeting missiles and drone drone targets within Iran that are targeting citizens and innocent people, and stopping that. I generally hope so. I really mean that. I really, really do. Because I don't want us taking part in this war any more than you guys do. But I also don't want any more lives to be lost that we're already losing there. Okay. So I think it's important to give you share as well with this as well. I wanted to share this from YouGov because it'd be interesting to see what you guys think of this as well. So this is from YouGov. By 49% to 28%, Britons are opposed to the US military action against Iran. Net support by 2024 vote. So this poll here. So you had conducted by 4,132 adults here, plus 33, plus 14 Conservatives, minus 45 Labour, minus 49 Lib Dems, minus 59 in Greens. And the question was asked here: do you support or oppose the military action in the United States that is taken against Iran? And interestingly, you can see the political party with the strongest support about it is Reform. The lowest there is the Greens. Somewhat support highest is the Conservatives there. So the Conservative base is somewhat in supportive of this here. You can see somewhat opposed is a bit more nuanced. I think a lot more people are more on the pretty more mixed bag there from all different parties there. And then you have strongly opposed, very, very much the Green Party there. Highest also for Labour supporters. Highest also for Lib Dem supporters there. The Conservatives, it's not strongly supporting it, but they somewhat support it there, according to Conservative voters there. And obviously, Reform voters very much want us all to have blood. Want blood on our hands there. It's also worth pointing out the don't knows there. A lot of people, I would say, also weren't 100% sure there in terms of numbers there. I thought that was interesting indeed. They did ask another poll there actually as well. Where is it? So they also asked, do you support or oppose the government's decision to allow the US to use UK air bases specifically to launch attacks against missiles in Iran as well? So we can say 32% support it and 50% oppose it, which some of you guys have don't agree with that decision, and that's democracy there. I agree with it, but I know some people would disagree, and that's totally fine there. Ellie, good to see you there, and Counter Kid, good to see you both there in the chat there. Hope you guys are doing well. So we can see here, in terms of strongly support and strongly oppose there, obviously those who strongly oppose is Greens, Lib Dems, and Labour again. Strongly support, the strongest support for them are, of course, the Reform and the Conservatives there. So it's not too much similar to the other poll we've just seen there as well. That is same numbers there. And then finally here's, how do you think the UK should respond diplomatically to the US-led attack against Iran? And these are the options they put here. So the option is, should condemn the United States, should praise the United States, should neither condemn nor praise the United States, or don't know. If I had to vote, I would probably say, I would say they should condemn, but at the same time, I also know the consequences of condemning the US there. But overall, the Conservatives are saying should neither praise nor condemn. Labour are strongly on the position of neither condemn nor praise. The Lib Dems are also on that position. Funnily enough, interestingly there, you can see it's very even but for Reform Russia there. You can see very level-headed about whether they should praise the US or neither, or say nothing about it. And you can see the Green Party very clearly as they're out saying that they should condemn the United States for its actions there. So I thought those polls were worth sharing with you guys there as well. I wanted to share this clip with you guys before we move on from this story, because it is a story we're going to be talking about this Wednesday as well. It's not a story that's going to be going away anytime soon, but I wanted to end with this, guys. So some of you guys may not have seen this clip yet, but it's going to go viral if you haven't already seen it. So sadly, a fourth US soldier has lost their life, and Donald Trump was speaking today, and he decided to take time out of his precious meeting here to talk about drapes instead of talking, while there's, while the US is striking targets in Iran and Iran is firing back and soldiers are being killed and, the Middle East is up on fire right now thanks to the United States and Israel here. Donald Trump is talking about drapes.
See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains. But
Never mind the soldiers, Donny. Never mind the soldiers.
and it'll be spectacular. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom. I believe it because I built many a ballroom. I believe it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. And when you hear all that hammering out there, you know why the First Lady is not thrilled exactly. She said, will the pile drivers ever stop? They go from 6 in the morning till 11:30 in the evening. Can you imagine?
She can live. She can. I don't know if she ever stays at Mar-a-Lago, but she could. I don't know if she has to sleep in the White House, but she could do if she really wanted to. Anyway, it's enough of that rambling here. Here's one that will really piss you off. Finally, we honor one more American soldier, a fallen warrior of words of blah, 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 blah. That's literally what he says.
Finally, we honor one more American soldier, a fallen warrior of wars, and really terror. Staff Sergeant.
Yeah, because that's definitely how much you appreciate the loss, the loss of life, Donny. Definitely how you appreciate it, yeah, definitely how to appreciate it, right? Definitely had to appreciate it, right? Fucking bastard. I had to say that. Sorry. He is a fucking bastard. Absolute fucking bastard. It's bad not, killing, literally US soldiers are fucking dying, I wonder how many of those US soldiers are actually MAGA supporters. How many of them are just going to be like, oh, it's so, they fought for Donnie. They died for Donnie. It's okay. Given that we've gone 47 minutes on this, I think it's rightly that we take a break, guys, on this because it's a lot. Got any green medicine, Pete, says Mel. Is Pete in the chat? Pete's music. We could do with some Pete music there. Good to see you there, Pete. Hope you are doing well. How have you been, by the way? Lint of lurking full to the gill with med pains. Week 3 of a brutal arthritis flare up in my knees and ankles. Brutal. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. We'll give you all the love and support we possibly can here, Pete. Stay strong, my friend. Stay strong. And appreciate you giving your time, to listen to this 38-year-old dude rambling about politics. Trump's not going to come rescue Britain. Of course he's not. Of course he's not, Jasper. Of course he's not. No, he definitely won't. There. Just see what else you guys have said. Let me have a look at that poll before we go to the funny video, actually. Might as well end it now. Because I think, we're pretty clear on that. Yep. I think we're pretty clear. Guys said no there. So, yep. 81% of you say no. Do you agree with Keir Starmer's statement on what the UK is doing in the Middle East? 19% of you say yes. But of course, how we get out of the situation is obviously up for debate. Anyway, guys, I think we need a bit of laughter. We need someone to bring back some funny bones, because we need it here, given the tension that is taking place here. So, what bad person? And of course, the man of the hour, our Lord and Savior Garen, with this. With this unbelievable, I want to touch on some of this after I play this, but let me just play this one here with the headline of, "This is offensive to the Irish people." Anyway, take it away, Garen.
Well, the Irish people are offended
Well, I'm fucking offended. This is what the Americans are selling as Irish-themed desserts for St. Patrick's Day. What the fuck is a mint chocolate lasagna? That's at least 2 racisms. Leave the Italians out of it. This is not their fight. What did they do to you? I will speak on behalf of the Irish people. We do not sign off on any of this fucking shite. None of this came across our desk. Who gave you the right to associate the good honest Irish people with fucking Bailey's cheesecake balls? I've never had no cheesecake balls in my life. In fact, St. Patrick would have fucked cheesecake balls off the island with the snakes. What are these? A load of fucking goo. How does one even obtain this shade of green? I'd say the only chemical that's not in there is cookie. Cottage cheese jello salad. We don't have any of those things in Ireland. I'm assuming it's because the word cottage is in it. Listen, Americans, I'm sorry to break the immersion. I don't know a single cunt that lives in a cottage. We all just live in thatched roof apartments now. Anyway, if I didn't get my message across, basically I hate this, fuck off, and follow me, I'm delicious.
I do not like the look of any of these desserts. And this is coming from someone who has a sweet tooth. I have a sweet tooth and I love desserts. But I gotta say, guys, these desserts put me off quite a bit. I mean, the shamrock shake may look nice there, but I'm not sure what's in it. I don't know what's in it. I can't see that the menu from here. The mint chocolate chip cookie. Mint and cookie is not something I would ever put together. That is just a big and fat no-no from me. But maybe some of you may disagree there. Bailey's cheesecake. No. Bailey's cheesecake balls. Again, no. I'm just like, why? Here. And then you've got Copycat Andy's mints. Yeah. And then you've got mint chocolate lasagna. I don't know whose idea that was, but someone needs to get their head examined there. Like, seriously. Mint chocolate lasagna. Why? Why? And then you got the cottage challenge jello salad there. I mean, yeah. I mean, come on, man. Mint and cookie I've seen, but in lasagna I've never seen them. Mint and cookie does not seem to click to me. Like, I know there's been like mint in chocolate bars and cookies and whatnot, and that's okay. But cookie, like, that doesn't work for me. Okay, I'll buy. I'm not a fan of mint. Maybe that I'll just give that away to you all, guys. Maybe it's just because I'm not a fan of mint. All right, but you know, I know maybe the shamrock shake. I think if I had to try one of those, and on that menu, I probably would try the shamrock shake. Probably if I had to pick one to have, it'll probably be that there. Bailey's cheesecake heaven. Ooh, I've not tried that though. So, Viscount biscuits in foil, says Billy Kershaw. There. Jal says, there's a box of Hershey chocolates in my local Lidl. It's been there for a month, but yeah, it's still there. They think they'll dust it there. Daily Blase, good to see you there, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Guys, make sure you check out Daily Blase's YouTube channel. Orange chocolate yippee. I've never been a fan of chocolate oranges. Just not me personally. And again, it may be because once again I'm not like I'm a very fussy person. You only need to ask my mum, guys, and she will tell you. Yep, my son Regan is a very fussy boy. All right, guys, let's have a look at some other stories, guys, because let's move away from the Iran stuff, guys. I'm probably not going to be able to cover all these stories, but we'll try and run through as much as we can here, guys. Green usually means healthy and gross. Not sure about that menu, says Mel. Okay, then. So most senior council officers in England says the building works hit by delays. Excuse me. Funding uncertainty is the main concern, despite Labour's pledge to revitalise construction, surveys shown. Now, how many... Like, they're not going to hit this 1.5 million target. You know, it's just not realistic. And I think they're going to move the goalpost on it even more when Keir Starmer gets the axe after the May elections. Because if they bring in a new Prime Minister, obviously if they bring in a new Labour leader, which means new Prime Minister, they can kind of push aside their manifesto because they have a different leader, which means they have to have different policies and whatnot. So I can kind of see them sidetracking that. But how much homes they actually built, will be questionable. How many of them people will actually be able to afford is another thing, though. That's the other problem here. So almost two-thirds of senior council officers have said they are seeing construction projects delayed, despite a key role of local authorities in creating the wave of new housing infrastructure promised by Labour. So before Rachel Reeves' spring forecast tomorrow, which is unfortunate. If I was here, I would have covered the spring statement tomorrow, but because I'm not, it's, it is what it is. There. A survey of senior council officers showed that 40% do not think the local authority they work for is well placed to follow through on its construction plans. Local authority finances has been under sustained pressure for more than a decade. Labour recently announced a shake-up of the funding formula for England's local councils to redirect resources from affluent parts of the country towards more deprived areas. So among those surveys, 64% reported project delays. And there's all sort of factors we can take that into it, whether they have enough workers, or whether they don't have the materials, which again, materials is a big problem thanks to Brexit. And obviously there's a cost, the cost may be even higher than it originally was as well. With as many as 94% calling for what is more certainty about future financing, such as multi-year funding settlements. When asked to state their own words what was causing the hold-up, many just wrote funding. Not enough money. More than a third, 34%, said Labour's irrational reorganisation of local government could also create delays in the short term, while 40% pointed to skill shortage, regeneration, housing and transport projects were identified as the most subject to potential disruption. The survey was carried out by Local Government Information Unit and the public sector procurement body Scape. Scape's Deputy Chief Executive has said that local authorities across the country really want to step up. We're galvanised. We want to deliver for local communities. But there's a real will and ambition to deliver, but there are some constraints that they are feeling. She added, the ask for long-term funding settlements where local authorities and their partners are able to invest in pipelines of work and across those settlements is really key. Labour have come to power promising to battle to be the party of the builders, not the blockers, and has reform planning legislation to allow more projects to go ahead. As I said, the 1.5 million homes in England. Reeves also has changed the government fiscal rules in their first budget to allow a significant increase in borrowing to fund investment projects, including transport, infrastructure and social housing. It's expected to promise more planning changes in the speech later this month. But council officers cited raising costs and policy uncertainties as obstacles to getting projects successfully built, with problems often occurring at early escaping, planning or construction stages. And again, it just all comes down to money at the end of the day, guys. We just don't have the money. Council are expected to play a key role in Labour's flagship Pride in Place scheme, which allocates up to £5 billion to local areas across the UK, with new neighbourhood boards deciding how the money will be spent locally. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government said, our Landmark Planning and Infrastructure Act brings seismic reforms to a planning system that for too long are held back. It will break down barriers to the planning system, making it easier for councils to seize land and approve developments for much needed homes and critical infrastructure. The recent local government finance settlement is our most significant move yet to make English local councils more sustainable and certain. We have made over £78 billion available for councils' finances next year, an increase of 6% compared with 2025-2026. But is it enough? Short answer is no. Short answer is no. And obviously we're just talking about specifically England here when it comes to these council houses here. Green zones and flood areas are a great place to build homes, says Mr. E. Starmer is the son of a toolmaker. He can probably dodge an axe. He probably could dodge an axe, but I don't know if he's going to dodge the axe after the May elections. That'd be a good question there, to be fair. They are building homes. The homes are being built, but it's just nowhere near enough, guys. It's just nowhere near enough. And the other problem, of course, is that we have a lot of homes rented out as well. We're not doing enough to tackle landlords. And the problem is that Labour are the party of landlords, because a lot of them are landlords as well, which is another big problem that needs to be addressed as well there. The next one is a story I haven't really had a chance to cover. It is a few days ago, this one here. So the minister resigns after a row over reprehensible material gathered on journalists. So Josh Simons said he has been cleared of breaking the ministerial code, but that's sorry, excuse me, I've got apologies. Josh Simons has been cleared of breaking the ministerial code, but that by staying in office, he's become a distraction here. So this is regard to Labour Together and spying on journalists that could undermine this Labour government. That's what this is kind of about, and they've been spying on journalists, which they should not have been doing. This is very questionable stuff here. So let me read a bit more into this for those who don't know. So Josh Simons has resigned as the Cabinet Office Minister amid a controversy over a think tank he used to run, which was accused of paying a PR firm to investigate journalists. So Keir Starmer recently confirmed that he had asked his ethics advisor, Sir Lauren Magnus, to look into whether Mr. Simons had broken the ministerial code. Mr. Simons said he had been cleared of breaking the code, but said that by staying in office he had become a distraction. Mr. Simons has been a minister in the Cabinet Office working on areas such as government digital ID scheme, which, by the way, is just, they should not be working anywhere near that way at all. There. Yeah, so the guy's been cleared, then he's still stepping down, you know. Hi, Sarah. Hope you are doing well. Good to see you there in the chat. Homes need to be built on stilts. In flood areas, yes, absolutely. There will need to be... one of the things we don't do is we don't build homes in where flood-related areas where they're vulnerable. Like, we don't build the necessary... the flood defences we build, but we're not building enough on the flood defences right now. But the government have invested money in that. We know they've invested in flood defences, but whether they've invested enough is questionable. But the homes themselves aren't really so much in those areas doing enough to tackle it there. Stephen Baker says, Ryan Bagan is bang on about the floodplains, the ecosystem, the environment. He is also 100% right about not enough people talking about it. Yeah. You know, that's another thing as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Pagan has spoken about this. I think we discussed this at the last EcoFlake show. We'll probably touch on it next week as well, because it is we do have an EcoFlake show happening next week as well, so we'll probably touch on it there as well. So it comes after claims that the think tank Labour Together, which Mr. Simons ran before entering government, was accused of paying PR firm Apico's £36,000 to investigate the background of journalists who ran a negative story on the organisation. Yeah, so this was allegedly, Simon's been found not guilty. But the story, of course, is basically they were trying to, they wanted to investigate journalists who were trying to go after them as such, basically just to dig up on Labour Together on what they were doing. And this here, the idea is to find dirt on the journalists to get them off the story, basically. The Times said Alico produced deeply personal and false claims about Gabrielle Polland, its Whitehall editor, while Harry York, the deputy political editor, was named alongside him. It suggested the journalist might be part of a Russian conspiracy or have relied on emails hacked by the Kremlin, according to the Sunday Times. Mr. Simon said in his resignation that he had never sought to smear the reporters that Alpaco had been hired to investigate a potentially illegal hack. Yeah, okay, sure. Journalists had covered the campaign group's failure to declare more than £700,000 in donations. And letter to the Prime Minister, Lau said that the ex-minister now accepted the terms that he agreed with Acapel were wider than he had understood, and he had acted too harshly in confirming their appointment. Whilst Lau and Mr. Simons had acted in good faith, quote-unquote, he said that the MP acknowledged that the perceived gap between the public statements and what he now accepts appears to be more extensive scope that has been damaging. I see no basis for advising you of any breach of the ministerial code by Mr. Simons, but you will wish to consider, in the light of distraction and potential reputational damage, whether he continues to hold on to your confidence as a member of your government. So Keir Starmer said he accepted with sadness Mr. Simons' resignation there. As Mr. Simons defended his action following his resignation, arguing that he never sought to smear and investigate newspaper reporters, but intended to investigate potentially illegal hacks. They added that he deeply regrets what subsequently happened. You know, they just didn't want anybody knowing what they were doing there. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch accused Sir Keir of using the conflict in the Middle East to sneak out yet another ministerial resignation. Another time, he lacked the backbone to sack a minister who was obviously in the wrong, she added. Josh Simons was in charge of a group that deliberately smeared journalists and even used a journalist's Jewish faith to call him into question. Labour hasn't changed. Keir Starmer must tell us immediately if he will now end Labour Together's links with the government and return the tainted money that they've donated. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. But there's definitely dodgy stuff indeed. Very, very dodgy indeed. That ad is a very easy challenge. Train until mid-autumn 2025, says Mel. Oh, you're interested in the Tai Chi program? Well, it's got all the information on there that you need, guys. It's got all the information you need on there. Town, Korlakelia, Sotal, take a look at it. There are large floods in so many areas, 20 or 30 years, by the way, there. People keep playing with the environment and get burnt as jail there. Yep. Theme tune of Another One Bites the Dust on a reply. Yep. Another One Bites the Dust, indeed. But it does feel like, yeah, that they're using what's happening in Iran right now as a smokescreen for this story. Does definitely feels like that as well. Also, so does this story, guys. It's funny how a story like this one... Oh, yes, guys. Oh, I know you guys are ready to rage with me about this one, guys. Because, as you guys know, we are in a cost of living crisis. You know, people are struggling to make ends meet. But don't worry, guys. MPs are taking care of themselves. MPs pay to rise by 5% to $98,599 a year from April. That's right, guys. MPs are giving themselves another pay rise because, yeah, they definitely have. They've worked so hard for that pay rise, guys. The timing of this, right in the middle of a conflict blowing up in the Middle East, guys, and they decide to put this out here. 5%. Correct me if I'm wrong to my Scottish viewers in the chat, but I believe the SNP do not take their pay rises, and they they donate it to charities. Is that correct? There, I think the Greens should consider doing the same thing. Look, I'm going to be honest. Yeah, they do not need this pay rise. Okay, they earn more than enough. You know, they really do. MP's basic salary will rise by 5% to £98,599 a year from April, Westminster Expenses Watchdog has said. The Independent... let me just do that right. Let me just make sure I get that right, guys. So just for reference here. The Independent Parliamentary Standard Authority, IPSA, said it was also aiming to move towards a salary of around £110,000 by the end of Parliament during 2029. Oh, yes, because, you know, £110,000, guys. You know, let's just put them on a footballer's salary at this point, guys. You know, let's just put them on a footballer's salary there. Stephen Banker says SNPs haven't accepted the parties for over a decade now. There. I just wanted to double check with Scottish viewers that they definitely don't that they donate some of that money to charities. I don't know if I'm pretty sure I've heard that from somewhere. If someone wants to correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, please do on that. So the IPSA chairman, Richard Lloyd, which is definitely independent and definitely doesn't have any links to any politicians in any way, shape or form, which if I actually went to Google, I'm sure I could find something, said the role of an MP had evolved with parliamentarians, dealing with higher levels of complex casework and abuse and intimidation. Now, I do want to put a caveat on this, right? So abuse, intimidation is becoming a big problem for MPs. That point I do agree with. And for me, it should not come out of their pay in order to deal with that. I think that is something that should be a separate matter, separate pay. In that, if you need to have, like I said this in the past with you guys about, I think every single MP should have not a policeman, but should have a bodyguard with them 24/7. Every single MP should have a bodyguard with them 24/7, so they've always got someone looking after them, just to keep them, just to make sure they're okay. I mean, there are obviously some politicians out there who feel they don't need it, but I do think that is something that they should have there. SNP haven't accepted their pay rise for decades. It goes into the budget, says Stephen Banker. Okay. All right. Thank you for verifying that, Stephen. Appreciate that. But the Taxpayers Alliance said the public would be seething to see politicians receiving the inflation-busting pay rise all while they suffer a personal recession. Yeah, you don't say. The group's chief executive, John O'Connell, said after years of broken promises, falling living standards and deteriorating public services, MPs are being rewarded for failure with a principally pay boost. Yeah, because they're doing a great job of making our lives better, guys. Inflation, the rate prices are rising. It's currently at 3% according to the latest figures for January. The watchdog benchmark MPs pay against other senior civil service roles, similar democracies worldwide, as well as their wider economic context. ISPA's pay decision for 2026-2027 includes a 1.5% benchmarking adjustment, as well as 3.5% cost of living increase. MPs also receive expenses to cover the cost of running an office, having somewhere in London to live, or their constituency, travelling between Parliament and their constituency. Now, I agree with the sentiment of MPs having to travel, staying in London, all that kind of stuff, and travel costs and all that. I get all that. I get all that. But, yeah, they get the salary, and then they also get expenses as well. Like, am I the only one that feels like this is too much here? Like, I think the system, the way their system needs an overhaul, in my opinion. I just think it needs a complete overhaul. Dave McGuinness, good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much. Yes, Scottish viewers. Scottish viewers give their money to charity as well. Yes, you're fantastic viewers, Dave McGuinness, on youtube.com/the2Davies. Any super chats that you guys do whenever the 2Davies go live on their YouTube channel, which they do it every Monday to Friday at 10:30, as well as every Monday to and Thursday at 4 o'clock. If you donate any super chats whatsoever, that money goes towards good causes, goes towards charities and organisations that do great work in Scotland, guys, and it makes a difference to people's lives. And Dave McGuinness makes sure that that money goes there. He doesn't just make sure it; he even shows you where it goes as well, because that's what kind of a top bloke that he really is there. First, thank you so much for the £5 super chat, and guys, do check out Dave McGuinness with another paper review tomorrow at 10:30. There. Thank you so much for that. I don't think any need MP who is on their first term as an MP should be getting any pay rise, as it should be based on performance. That is a great comment, Sarah. You're absolutely right. Performance should be based on it. But another thing is that how much is their performance down to what they can actually do as an MP, and how much influence that they can make on government to ensure that they are supporting them in their area. So there is a kind of part of me is thinking, like, I get where you're coming from based on performance, because obviously if you think about it from your work perspective, obviously if you do well at your work, you should be getting a bonus and a pay rise, depending. So, and if you don't do as well and whatnot, you shouldn't be getting a bonus and shouldn't be getting a pay rise per se. But I also think MPs can also be linked to how much support they're getting from the government when it comes to certain projects and infrastructures and whatnot. So it's kind of I don't know if I want to solely base it on performance, because partly it's not completely in their control as well there. But yeah, I totally get that comment there, which is a great point. Some MPs are paid more because they have additional roles such as chairing the committee or ministers, which, yeah, so some of them obviously are committees or ministers there. UK MPs are paid slightly more than the equivalents in France, Japan and New Zealand, but less of those in Ireland, Italy, Canada, Australia, Germany and the US, where annual salaries are more than £100,000 there. IPSA also compared MP salaries to public sector roles such as senior managers and civil servants who have an average salary of £88,000, and NHS consultants whose starting salaries are £106,000. The role of the MP has evolved. They are dealing with high levels of complex casework, abuse and intimidation. Yep. In reaching a decision, we have benchmarked MPs' pay against other responsible senior roles in civil society and similar worldwide democracies, as well as considering our own core principles in the wider economic context. In future years, we'll continue to consider prevailing economic and physical conditions when confirming annual pay decisions, taking into account the experience of people outside of Parliament. Earlier this month, the government announced the NHS staff in England and Wales, excluding doctors, dentists and senior managers, will get a 3.3% pay rise from April. For resident doctors in England, the government has suggested a 2.5% pay increase from April, which is now being considered by the Independent Pay Body Review. Independent. In the civil servant department, also able to make average pay awards of up to 3.25% for 2025-2026. Look, I just think it's considering right now, like, here's the thing, and this is the thing, right? If people's lives were getting better, If people were feeling more money in their pockets, if people were feeling that their communities were getting better, if they felt that they were feeling safer when it comes to dealing with crime, that they were feeling like that they could be able to start being able to afford a home, being able to have a decent job, a decent livelihood. If people were feeling a sense in the last year and a half or so that Labour are slowly turning a corner, I think, yeah, people wouldn't be as upset about this. But the thing is, people are still not feeling that they're better off than they were. That they're not better off. They're not feeling it. Like, for a long period, we've had austerity. And now we're coming into this period here. People are not feeling it. People aren't getting it in their pocket. So, unless people start feeling it, unless people start actually getting better, people are rightfully resentment of MPs getting a pay rise. You know, rightfully so. Do bribes and... Steve says, do bribes and payoffs also go up by 5%? Yes. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yeah, that VIP box for the Arsenal games for Keir Starmer has gone up. That's gonna go up by 5% as well. Well, benefits go up by 87p. 87p. Oh yeah, 87p. What can I buy with 87p? I can't, like, I don't even think, like, I think a chocolate bar is like 75p at best. Like, what can I do with an extra 87p in entitlements? Yeah, that's definitely helpful. Yeah, the contrast is insane. Contrast is insane. Thank you for highlighting that, Mr. E, because, yeah, that's contrast is absolutely bloody insane. So, the final story we've got for you guys is from Sky News here. And our Home Secretary, I don't know, like this. So, back my asylum overhaul or risk Trump-inspired ICE-style raids, warns Mahmood. The Home Secretary invokes the spectre of a US-inspired far-right immigration crackdown as she tries to win Labour support for tougher asylum laws. So she's literally basically trying to kind of, I would say, like, I feel like this headline is kind of like trying to imply, like, if you don't back what I'm doing, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get ICE here, basically. And I've said this before, and I'll say this again, especially for people who are new here. It doesn't matter how well they do. They can clear all the asylum cases. They could clear all the hotels, all the bases. They could clear every single place up and down England, Wales, Scotland of all the asylum applications, right? They could clear it all, guys. They could clear it all, right? They could do it all, right? And those reform voters would still, or Restore Britain voters, they would still not vote for Labour. They just wouldn't do it. It doesn't matter how good the numbers look. It doesn't matter how many facts you put in front of them. Reform, Restore Britain voters are not going to turn to Labour. No matter how much numbers and facts you put in front of them saying, we're bringing it down. We're bringing down the number of asylum hotels. We're bringing down the number of people crossing the channel. We've cleared so many out of the backlog. But they're still coming. They're still coming. They're still taking our jobs. They're still doing this X, Y, and Z. It doesn't matter what Labour does. You cannot win over someone who doesn't care what you say. It doesn't matter what you say. The only way that these voters, respectfully, who are so passionate about this, right? The only way these Reform voters or Restore Britain voters go to Labour is if Nigel Farage or Rupert Lowe comes out and says they're doing a great job. But they will never say that for obvious reasons. It's a lose-lose situation for Labour. And they just can't get their dumbass heads around this. Oh, look, it's that Tai Chi program you guys love so much. Shabina Mohammed is set to introduce new legislation to overhaul the UK's asylum system as part of a tougher approach to migration. The Home Secretary said the generosity of the British asylum system is attracting people from across the world, funding human traffickers, and encourage false asylum claims, according to a government source. I'm going to back on this. Like, the United Kingdom, the 4 great nations, the UK is, we have 4 wonderful, it is a great place to live. Okay? It's a great place to live in Wales. It's a great place to live in parts of England. Great place to live in Scotland. They are great places to live. We can all speak from our own experiences. Is it perfect? No. Life is not perfect anyway. But we've all had, most of us here who are from the UK know that it's not perfect. Life is not perfect. People are always going to come across these shores. People are always going to come, whether they like it or not. You can't stop people coming. You just can't. Like, it's going to happen one way or another. No matter how much you make it difficult, you can leave the European Convention on Human Rights and make all our lives even worse. So you can round up as many people, and send them to, Guantanamo Bay and lock them up with the key and all that kind of stuff. It's not going to stop people coming. People are still going to come to the UK because they want to. It's just a dead end. If you generally want to, I've said this before, if you generally want to reduce not just migration coming to the UK, but global migration overall, we have to have more foreign aid funding, and we have to de-escalate conflicts that are taking place right now. We have to do more to tackle climate change, and we have to help the most deprived nations around the world to help them be able to stand on their own feet, so that they can produce their own water, that they can farm their own food, that they can be able to educate their own children, that they can be able to live in a decent enough homes, and have decent enough jobs, so they can have a livelihoods where they are and not have to flee from war, from persecution, from climate action, from whatever it is, so that they end up coming to Europe, coming to America, or coming to the UK. Couldn't be more clear. Oh yeah, and we should have safe and legal routes as well, which is something we don't have as well, which Zoe Gardner has mentioned on numerous occasions as well. Labour sourced the barrel. Frankly, they blew it. Had a golden opportunity to do great things and expand their support to a near total majority. Must be the biggest blunder since. Yeah. You know what, Pete? You're absolutely right. It's insane that the government has so many MPs and yet they don't have a plan to make. And yet, while they've tinkered around a few things, they haven't really devised a grand plan to make our lives better, really don't. Pete Den, good to see you there. I hope you are doing well. Oh, by the way, guys, we are also 3 super chats away from tonight's super chat goal. If we could get there, it'd be greatly appreciated. Obviously, if you give a super chat, your comment will be read out as well, just for reference there, if anyone wants to help me get over that line. She's also expected to say the government must cut migration or risk opening the door to the right, which would divide communities as the kind of ICE-style immigration raids seen in the US. Make no mistake about it, they will bring ICE-style raids if we get a reform or restore Britain government. Restore Britain would be far worse, but yeah, either way, yeah, we're going to get that kind of stuff if we have that kind of government. It is hoped her plans could help blunt the appeal of Reform UK. Not going to work. But they're also likely to bring criticism from within Labour as fallout from the party losing safe seat to Greens to come third in this week's Gorton and Denton by-election. Miss Mohammad's name and immigration policy was being highlighted as the blame game began in the aftermath of Labour's defeat in the Manchester contest. Yes, I said this on the by-election, but for those who don't know, obviously, this was something that was brought up on many occasions in the Gorton and Denton by-election area about the way the Home Secretary is using the powers that she's using and what she's doing in terms of immigration. A lot of people are not comfortable with it. And it's not just, it's not just Muslim, by the way, it's not just the Muslim majority in the Gorton and Denton by-election, it's other people are there as well. Oh, by the way, did you guys know that the majority, the highest religion, do you want to know which religion has the highest population in Gorton and Denton, in the Gorton and Denton area? It's actually Christian, not Muslim. Did you guys know that? Yeah, just wanted to put that out there in case any cheeky Reform voters are hiding behind the screen. Hiding behind the keyboard, not saying anything there. But, you can look it up. Don't have to take my word for it. The Times have reported up to 40 Labour MPs are expected to oppose her plans, believing that they are pungent and morally wrong. 40's nothing. 40's nothing, unfortunately. But Ms Mahmood told the Telegraph that Labour could not ignore the issue. The levels of illegal migration are putting them immense strain. It's not illegal. Immense strain on our country and our public service, creating division within communities across the country. Home Secretary said. No, they're not doing that. Reform are doing that. Right-wing influence are doing that. Social media is doing that. That's what's that. It is right-wing politicians, right-wing influencers, people, right-wing medias who are painting that picture. It's not the actual immigrants themselves. It really is not. Illegal migration is undermining the contract between the government and its citizens, eroding support of the asylum system entirely. And by the way, as well, as we continue to lose a lot of people from other countries and whatnot being in the UK, we're going to struggle here in the UK the longer this continues as well. Her new strategy comes after a visit to Denmark, which is one of the toughest asylum and immigration systems in Europe. The home of the Secretary is a long admirer of the model. Denmark does not work. You can't just copy and paste Denmark's model to here because I think it's very Britain is a multicultural country, so it makes logical sense for more people to come to the UK in comparison to Denmark. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Denmark is a multicultural country. Also, it's very expensive to live in Denmark in comparison to into that. Thirdly, they're not we're on an island. They're actually part of the EU as well. So yeah, there's quite a few caveats in comparison to make those comparisons there. Denmark's tough stamp on asylum seekers began in the mid-2010s when the Prime Minister Frederik Mikkelsen was in opposition. Her party, Social Democrats, moved to make protections for asylum seekers temporary, while also arguing that uncontrolled immigration was placing huge pressures on working-class communities. Just because it worked there doesn't mean it can work here, guys. I really want to stress that. Since coming to office, Ms Frederiksen's government have reduced the number of asylum applications to its lowest number in 40 years and removed 95% of rejected asylum seekers. Denmark's system also looks to deter new arrivals by largely moving to a temporary stay motel, where most asylum seekers are sent back to their home country once they're deemed safe. And it's easy to say that once they're deemed safe, but again, if there's people and the point was made by Zoe Gardner with regards to the new policy, she put out in a video, it's, if they're from Iran, right now, they're never going to be going back home because it's just not a safe country. Obviously the position changed about Syria because of the toppling of the leader there. But for example, do you think Egyptians that are in exile right now Egyptians right now that are exiled here in the UK, do you think it's okay for them to go back to their country after what the Western leaders have done to that country right now? Do you think so? Do you think Egypt's a safe country for them to go back right now? No, I didn't think so. Miss Mahmood was taken to a reception centre on the outskirts of Copenhagen, where asylum seekers are taken by police to stay on a short-term basis. They're given health checks and have their biometrics taken. She was then taken to a return centre where migrants go before being sent back to their country of origin, which includes communal canteens, outdoor exercise machines, accommodation, which includes plain rooms furnished with lockers and small-sized single beds and bunk beds. Yeah, but the thing is, how much of this is actually run by private companies? How much is this all run? My question is for making this comparison to Denmark. How much do you think of this? Yeah, who is behind this? Is actually run by the state or run by a private company? Because I can tell you right now, yeah, the companies right now that are doing this on our behalf, right? Private companies who are doing this on our behalf, they do not give a flying fuck about asylum seekers, right? The ones who are supposed to be looking after them, yeah, while their applications are being processed in hotels or wherever they are, right? These private companies who are supposed to be looking after them are doing the bare minimum when it comes to feeding them, when it comes to giving them the necessary clothes, the necessary beds, because they are milking the government for so much money because of those shit fucking contracts the Conservatives dished out to them. I think it was Serco is one of those companies. And I'm pretty sure whoever's doing this kind of stuff in Denmark is probably not one of those kind of private companies. Just saying. Scott Hayes, thank you so much for the very kind £5 super chat. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Nigel Farage forgets that most British people won't take jobs like picking strawberries or asparagus, etc. So we need immigration. And you're right, we do need immigration. We need immigrants to do the jobs that that we don't do. Like, and this is the thing, like, who is going to do these jobs? And it's like, I've seen the analogy before. It's like, well, you go and pick fruit then. You tell them that, you go and pick fruit. You know, I kept telling Jonathan Gullers when he was out of a job, there's plenty of fruit picking jobs for him, but he never took them up on board. Labour source told the Telegraph that the party and its values will be in jeopardy. Thank you again, Scott. I appreciate that. Very kind of you. Jeopardy without bold action on migration, but adds that Marmot's vision sets a path that sits between both Reform UK and the Greens. I think it's a vision that is fair but firm, compassionate but controlled, and one that promises and rewards those who want to contribute to our national life. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I don't think so. The alternative is the far right raising a drawbridge and bringing havoc and chaos to Britain's streets with ice-style raids dividing our communities. The alternative under Zach Polanski is open borders. It's not true. That's not what it says in their policies. Filling the trade in human trafficking and placing huge strain on communities and public service. Both seek to promote and profit from division within our communities. This is just false. This is false. The language in their policy is questionable. The language on the Greens on what they're doing here is false. But the Greens are not promising open borders. They're not promising open borders there. So, good night, Mel. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. But I don't like, the comparison is just, it's just not there. And Denmark, as Jao points out, Denmark is in the EU as well, of course. Thank you for reminding me of that. I did not put that on the record as well. Yeah, it's just, I wish British people would understand that. So, I'm not, look, it's not going to win over, like I said, it's not going to win people over. Guys, I did say that, and it's just not. But some people are still going to buy into it one way or another because, it's going to make all the difference in the world, apparently. No, hold on. Let me just make sure I set that. Perfect. We got one more video. See ourselves out. Let me just have a quick look in the chat. Pete Den says, great prospects for anyone coming here for a better life, eh? When push comes to shove, when folks are desperate, they'll take any job. I've done jobs that horses would turn their noses up at. The thing is that, like, if the jobs were, if the pay was sufficient, like, the thing is, people will do anything for a certain amount, of money. But the thing is that there's a lot of jobs that just British people just don't want to do. British people just don't want to do. That Tai Chi program is so confident in your product. Why not show results on a real person? Says Ellie. Indeed. Thank you, Stephen Baker, for £2 super chat for the Ollie Appreciation Society. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you there. We'll see the gang in a moment just before we head out, after the funny video there. So thank you for that. Right, guys, I've got one last video to see ourselves out here, of course. Now, it's very important that you guys understand this. As we, as English, as Welsh, as Scottish, and Northern Irish, of course, we always come across storms. And, of course, the most important thing, guys, is to name those storms. There's all sorts of names that we can give storms. But how are they really named? Well, I'm going to show you guys from Foil Arms and Hogs how they actually make the names for the storms. So, I'm sure it's going to be perfectly reasonable names that they could have for some storms.
All right, I've got some good news. There's another storm on the way. You know what that means? We need a name.
Ooh, how bad is it?
100-kilometre-an-hour winds.
That's going to cause a lot of damage.
Let's start with the obvious name. So, has anyone got an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend that they would like to use?
I'm all out of exes, but I did want to say thank you all.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah.
Did you contact Awen in the end?
Yeah, I just said it was a coincidence.
So, suggestions, what do we got?
Not an ex, but a driving instructor.
Oh, yeah?
Failed me twice.
Whew. What's the bastard's name?
Desmond O'Reilly.
No, we had Desmond 2015, sorry.
What about Storm Mr. O'Reilly?
No, look, we've been through this before. We can't use second names, okay? It's too specific. It leaves us wide open. The public will cop on, okay? Yeah, so there's no exes, no?
No.
Okay, what about bullies?
Did them.
Former teachers, overly aggressive five-a-side players, clumsy barbers, chatty tantric masseurs?
Look, we've been doing this for 10 years. We've used them all.
Storm Winifred.
Isn't that your mother?
Yeah, she said I put the hedge clippings in the wrong bin. I was cutting her hedge a favour.
No, you used her in 2018 when she made you pick her up from the airport.
Why does she not just get a taxi or the air coach? Calling me at 6 in the morning.
Just real suggestions, please. Come on.
Oh, I've got someone.
Yeah?
Really been pissing me off lately.
Fantastic.
And it's a name we haven't used yet.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Go,
Great.
give it.
Michael.
Hey!
It's a different Michael.
No, veto!
What about Hillstart McPrickface?
Can we just get over the driver instructor
No,
thing?
I just twice really failed me twice.
What are some recent storm names that we liked?
Storm Dara.
Overcharged me on the gutters.
Okay, we had Storm Nisha.
The pharmacist who laughed at me.
And of course Storm Gerard, who we are pretty sure blocked the communal toilet.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's time. We gotta use karma.
No.
Yes.
I've told you, okay? We are saving my ex-wife for a proper hurricane. I want entire homes swept away, okay? Trees uprooted. Hailstones the size of footballs. I want people in canoes delivering cans of food. Luxury car dealerships underwater. I want other people to have to say, Carmel ruined my life.
But hang on a sec.
No, okay, no. Because he did it with Ophelia, I get to do it with Carmel.
Fine, but we've got to pick a name.
Dave, can you come here for a sec?
Yeah.
Dave, is there someone that you hate? Like that you really just hate?
Do you know who I don't have a lot of time for? Cillian Murphy. You know, the actor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dave.
I think we have it.
Yeah, okay.
Storm Dave will hit Ireland this Thursday morning.
Storm Dave, guys. Storm Dave is coming. God help us all. Not Dave. Oh, not Dave. Not Dave. Guys, make sure you check out Foil, Arms and Hogs YouTube channel. They got 1.23 million subscribers on the YouTube channel, and they also do plenty of tours as well, not just in the UK but around the world. They do some great stuff, guys. Go give them some love if you can for me. Be greatly appreciated there. Storm Nora says Counter Kev. Storm Kemi. Yes, Storm Kemi. That's a yes, Storm Kemi. Yep. But we should do that after she loses her position as leader of the opposition, though. Solidarity, brother, says Dave Mingus. Indeed, on the storms. Confefe, thank you so much for the £2 super chat, Steam Banker. Thank you for that. Really appreciate your support, and to everyone who gave super chats tonight, appreciate it. Storm Daniels, there. Don't call it Trump. That's a world end event. No, that's right. Storm Trump has to be like the hurricane has to be literally like. You know, like the one from the day after tomorrow. It's got to be one of those ones. That's how it's got to be there. It's got to be that one of those there. Mr. E, thank you so much for the £5 super chat. Wages per hour have become an ever-decreasing spiral. Nothing wrong with harvesting food if the labour is paid a fair wage. Food is essential. Absolutely. If the pay is good enough, you can do it. You know, that's the thing that I just want people. The thing is, the minimum wage is just. The minimum wage is not enough to live on. You know, that's one of the big problems there. And yeah, we do have this problem where even the minimum wage is just nowhere. It's just pittance there. But you're absolutely right. Like, there is nothing wrong with any job. It is just about making sure that they're getting a decent wage to doing it as well. You know, I like, just for example, like the guys the people who always take away the rubbish, you know, I always appreciate that work, because that is that job is, you know, it's a really smelly job, but someone's got to do it, and they do a great job at doing it. They really do. Thank you for the £5 super chat. I appreciate that. We just had a cyclone, Gabriella. Don't know she was, says Stephen Mon. Gabriella. The backup storms, there's always two Davies, says Mr. E. You said that, not me. You said that, not me. You said that. You're calling it Storm Davies, not me. I'm not calling it that. You can say that. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who came along, guys. Thank you guys for all your comments. It's great, appreciate it. Thank you to those who gave super chats tonight, much appreciated. I will be back live tomorrow at 7 p.m, not 11 a.m. tomorrow. There'll be no Good Morning show. A reminder, for those who don't know, it's my brother's birthday tomorrow, and we're going out for lunch, so I can't be doing the live stream tomorrow. So, but I will be back in time for a good evening show. So you'll get your daily quote tomorrow. You just won't get it until a bit later on in the day, guys. If you can join me for that live stream, be great. We're only going to go an hour anyway, from 7 to 8 o'clock. So do join me for that if you can. If you can't, I'll be back live on Wednesday for the Good Morning Show plus Prime Minister's Questions, which is obviously going to be very interesting indeed. And then we'll have the Watch Along Show. We haven't done it for a while, so I'm looking forward to finally doing that show with you guys as well. Also, just want to point out as well, if you weren't aware at the start of the show, for those who have just come in throughout as well, Rumble and Patreon videos, they're dropping every day, Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. here. So if you want to check out those videos, feel free to do so as well. So enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week, whatever you guys are doing. Take care of yourselves as always. I really do mean this. And thoughts and prayers, of course, not just for all those right now in the Middle East, but of course those in Sudan, those in Ukraine, anyone's out there suffering now. Thoughts and prayers, of course, are with them as always. And for everyone who's listening, make sure you also take care of yourselves and stay safe on your ways out. If you can, hit the like button, share across social media, subscribe. Check out Discord. Check out all the links down below. Check out the home tab, all that usual stuff. Thank you all again for watching. Take care and good night.